Now, the big issue is I have a lot of trust issues with the Portland City Council.
We, the county, don't have more money to do what they're asking.
Now at 6, Washington and Clackamas counties not vibing with Portland Mayor Keith Wilson's request for millions of dollars to pay for homeless shelters in the city. How Mayor Wilson is reacting to the rejection coming up in a live report.
And we all know tax day is April 15th, but if you're planning on mailing in your taxes, you only have until tomorrow to do so. Why this year's deadline to mail in taxes is almost a week sooner than usual.
And the Masters Tournament tees off today in Georgia. Look at what's on the menu for the world's best golfers and how much it will cost. Ahead as your News at Sunrise starts right now. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on your Wednesday. I'm China Green.
And I'm Matthew Herchick. Happy to have you with us. Rod Hill and Chris McGinnis standing by with a look at the weather and traffic. Is that the sun's not coming up yet already,
well,
is it?
6:37, but we're getting what I call the pre-sunrise colors in the sky. Going to be another beautiful day, certainly another beautiful morning. I mean, that's just spectacular, right? Early morning number, PDX is just now down to 42 degrees. Again, temperatures will be falling into the 7 o'clock hour. It's mainly clear. There's the moon. You can see up over the Columbia as we look south from the Vancouver, the Springs at the waterfront camera across the Columbia. 38 now at Pearson Airfield. Remember, the Weather Service has a frost advisory up for a good chunk of our area. Generally, lows are staying above freezing this morning, but mid-30s can produce some light scattered frost on the grass. 39 out the door, we'll say on average. A sunny day, 56 degrees at noon. Yesterday, the high was only 61. Today, I have us up to 66. Should turn out to be really nice. Here's Chris.
Felt almost cold yesterday after the weekend. All right, let's get you out the door. We'll start off in Marion County, I-5 southbound. ODOT dealing with a disabled vehicle near the Delaney Road area. So there is some local slowing getting around this as you head south out of Salem and I-5. Be aware of that. Back in the metro area, overnight road work on I-5 near the 84 interchange. That's wrapped up. Traffic is good to go there. A reminder, they'll be coning off north and or southbound lanes, at least one overnight each night this week as they continue with that project. That's for the improvement of the lighting and whatnot around Interstate 84. Over on the west side, Highway 26 looks good near the zoo, and the drive times reflect a speed limit commute. So far, so good. China?
Thank you, Chris. Portland officials are continuing to search for the fourth person in the car that drove into the Willamette River on Monday. This is a live look at this site right now. People left flowers at the barricade sectioning off where the car crashed through the fence. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office says the low visibility and movement at the bottom of the river are making the search difficult. Early Monday morning, Portland police tried to pull over a car for driving recklessly. Investigators say the driver took off through Waterfront Park, crashed through the metal railing, and plunged into the river. One person was rescued soon after the crash. 2 other bodies were recovered Monday afternoon, while the fourth is still missing but presumed dead.
We generally only have one boat on the water at any given time. We have 110 miles of river to patrol. So unfortunately, sometimes though we might want to be in a certain area and spend our time there, we have other things that could pull us away. We want to make sure, if we can, to go and find this unaccounted for person and return them to their family.
All day Tuesday, community and family members visited the site of the crash where there's a growing memorial.
Salem police are investigating a bicycle crash that left a 54-year-old man dead. It happened around 4:30 Monday afternoon near the intersection of Pringle Road and Madrona Avenue Southeast. Emergency responders say the cyclist, Marvin Miller, fell off his bike into the road just as a utility van got a green light to turn onto Madrona. The van hit Miller and he died at the scene. The driver of the van is cooperating with investigators. Meanwhile, leaders in Washington and Clackamas counties are pushing back on a request from Portland Mayor Keith Wilson, who is now asking for millions to help cover a growing gap in homeless services.
The request comes as the city faces a major budget shortfall heading into the next fiscal year. Sunrise reporter Corey Johnson's in the studio with the details on where things stand. Good morning, Corey.
Yeah, China, Matthew, the ask here is big and the timeline is actually pretty tight. Now, in letters sent in March, Mayor Keith Wilson requested $4 million from Clackamas County and $6 million more from Washington County in order to help fund overnight shelters and day centers. Now, he asked those county leaders to commit by this morning. Now, the city is facing a more than $50 million shortfall, including a $15 million gap in homeless services alone. They're considering cuts to those services that could mean fewer camp removals, overnight shelter beds, and closing shelter sites. But county leaders say they're not ready to commit to sending those funds just yet. And in Clackamas County, leaders say they simply can't meet the mayor's deadline, raising concerns about sending money to Portland at all. And in Washington County, commissioners discussed sending at least $1 million, though even that idea didn't have full support.
I can tell you, for me, I am not in favor of providing money to Portland. I think that we have enough need here.
We, the county, don't have more money to do what they're asking related to houseless and homeless services.
Now, Clackamas County's chair says he's open to broader regional conversations, but right now there's hesitation about sending local tax dollars directly to the city. While the mayor set a deadline for commitments, county leaders say they need more time to figure out what, if anything, they can contribute. China?
Corey, thank you. And new this morning, the deadline to file your taxes is quickly approaching, and here in Oregon, the deadline is even sooner if you plan to file your taxes by mail.
That's right. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz joining us now. All right, Thomas, so fill tax filers in on what they need to know.
Yeah, well, guys, if you plan to file your taxes through the mail, big news here. The deadline, according to the Oregon Department of Revenue, to do so is tomorrow. Now, I know what everybody's thinking. Tax day isn't until April 15th, so what's up with this week early deadline? Well, the Oregon Department of Revenue says that there's changes at the U.S. Postal Service, which means if you don't mail your tax filings by Thursday, they may not get there in time. The Oregon Department of Revenue says U.S. post offices, they don't stay open late anymore on tax day. And with just a week to go until the deadline to file, the state says hundreds of thousands of Oregonians still haven't filed those personal income taxes. The fastest way to get those taxes in is to file electronically. That's how most people do it these days. The Department of Revenue says 94% of Oregonians file electronically, but if you're one of those who likes to mail it in, state officials say you can return it to USPS until April 15th, but make sure there's an in-person request to have them postmark your filings at the counter if you do decide to wait that long. Now, look, guys, we gave you a little bit of bad news there. Let's give you a little bit of good news before we go. Many can expect a kicker this year. Some have already gotten that kicker in the mail. Some will also get that money back from the state maybe later this month. If you have questions about that kicker, whether you can expect to receive it, you can always go to the Oregon Department of Revenue website, type in your info, and get your answer right there. Guys.
Thank you, Thomas. Hey, if you're a Ford driver, you'll want to pay attention to this next story. Ford is recalling more than 400,000 cars because the windshield wipers can break while in use. The recall affects 2021 and 2023 Ford Expeditions and Lincoln Navigators, as well as the 2022 and 23 F-Series Super Duty trucks. Once Ford finds a solution to the issue, dealerships will replace the wipers at no extra cost.
Feels like they've been recalling a lot of vehicles recently. The Masters tournament tees off tomorrow in Augusta, Georgia, but this morning we're not talking about so much the golf. We are talking about the food at the tournament and how cheap it is. Of course, we have talked about the iconic egg salad and the pimento cheese sandwiches, which are a hit and only cost $1.50, the same price they've been since 2002. This year's cookie cost $2, up from $1.75 last year. The most expensive items on the menu are things like alcohol, beer, wine. Those cost about $6 each. Now, according to NBC News New York, if you add up all 26 items on the Masters menu, it only totals $72.75. Now, Rod, I grew up with the Memorial Tournament, which of course is one of the biggest non-majors right in my backyard.
In
so
Columbus?
We would go every year, and I mean, drinks there are at least double that.
Vegas prices?
Yeah, I mean, you can't get a sandwich there for probably less than $6 or $7. I mean, it's
What's Mr. Nicholas doing? Jack Nicholas, the host.
I
of that
know,
tournament.
yeah, it's Jack's tournament. I'm like, come on, can we get a break here? It's crazy.
Did I understand that correctly, Matthew? I could go to the Augusta, the Masters tournament, and I could order, I want one of everything on the menu, and it would be $72?
$72. 72, 75.
Really tempting to do.
Good luck getting tickets.
That's the issue. Here's our seaside camera. A beautiful day is shaping up. Everybody will be dry, and we're looking at mostly sunny skies. There's the gentle tide rolling in. 31. Seaside's one of the cold spots this morning, by the way. There's the moon. This is from the Chehalem Tasting Room out in Sherwood, where it's 39 degrees. And here's that pretty shot from the Wells Fargo building. That's Mount St. Helens over there on the left. 42 now out at the airport. Other temperatures, Forest Grove 37, Battleground 34. So we do have the frost advisory that kind of surrounds the Portland metro area, and there could be a few spots just get down to like 32, but you can see most of us are going to stay above. 40 Happy Valley, 40 in Beaverton, in fact 40 degrees in Salem. But it's a cool start nonetheless. Going to be a nice day though. I have Portland warming up at least 5 degrees over yesterday. Yesterday we stopped at 61. I had forecasted 64. Today I'm forecasting 66. This model shows 67. So anyway, a really nice afternoon. 50s to about 60 at the coast. 70s again over in Central Oregon and Bend and Madras, and 60s out across Eastern Oregon. So we have today 66. We have 73 tomorrow. There's a chance of rain in parts of the valley Thursday night. And then Friday late in the day, we'll look for storms to start moving northward up the Cascades. Futurecast shows thunderstorms in Portland in the 6 o'clock hour Friday going into the evening hours, and then a rainy weekend to follow both days on Saturday and Sunday. And that is your forecast.